One question that I often would get when I was taking emails would be what programs I could recommend in the area that people were writing me from. And they were writing me from, at this point, all over the world, and they were wondering if I went out and did programs in other locations, and then what other programs I knew of in other locations. And the answer that I have always given when I was answering emails, but the answer I would always give was I really don't know of programs in other areas. I honestly don't pay attention to programs in other areas. I don't even pay attention to programs in my own area. Reason being, all the programs out there are generally going to be following some sort of state-of-the-art technique. And my personal belief is people are going to have a much better chance quitting on their own without any help whatsoever. Even if they don't read any of my materials and if they don't use any of the websites that I have materials at, I think people have a better chance going into this almost totally blind with no understanding whatsoever than going into a program which is going to follow a state-of-the-art approach. Because a state-of-the-art approach in almost any program out there is going to be putting these people onto nicotine replacement products and into other, pharmaceutical aids. And the odds of finding a program that's going to basically be doing a cold turkey approach are slim. Now, there are some programs that I suspect in Europe that do have a cold turkey approach, because I know there's other groups out there kind of advocating a cold turkey approach. And if it came down to looking for a program in your area, if you found one that did a cold turkey approach, that's going to be the one that I would recommend doing if I were going to recommend having to do a program. Bottom line, though, is I don't think people have to do a program. I don't think people have to do a program in my own area when I was doing my own clinics. That's the reason I stopped doing clinics, is because, honestly, if people wanted extra help, we put the help online. It's there. It's free. It's accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could get help. You can get the information that you would get in the program anytime, and it should cost you nothing. That's my personal belief. It should cost you nothing. The thing kind of triggering me making this video today was I noticed in a news alert that I track whenever nicotine shows up as a news alert through Google. In the news alert, there was actually a program being advertised, which was where I had been doing the last clinics that I did was at a local health department. Now, they wanted me to keep doing them, but I honestly got to the point that it was taking me so much time to do these programs for so few people, and it was time that was taken away from me being able to do what the online work that I really wanted to do, and it was reaching thousands of people a day as opposed to reaching 10 or 20 people a month. It just made no sense anymore. And even the people that I would get into the program, trying to get them to come to all the sessions because of scheduling conflicts, people were missing a lot of the sessions, and at which point I'd have to send them to the website to get the information. Well, you know what? They could have just gone to the website to start with to get the information, and it would cost them nothing. And I really do believe this should cost nothing. Well, I noticed that this is the first time I've seen it, that the place where I was doing the clinics, and again, they wanted me to keep doing them, and I finally I bowed out. I had a colleague who was, studied my material, who offered to do it, and I think he did it for maybe a couple of years after I stopped. I stopped in 2009, and I kind of wanted him doing it just because I really didn't want the money going to pushing pharmaceuticals, which I knew would be, the end result at some point. Well, today I saw the ad where now they are doing a smoking program, and of course it's pushing nicotine replacement products. So that's kind of what prompted this. If people were to reach me about programs in my own area now, the last thing I would do would send them into a program which is going to put them into a nicotine replacement product. And again, if you go through any of my videos on nicotine replacement products, you'll understand why. I really believe it takes people who have the full potential of quitting and successfully pulling it off the easiest way possible, and it stops them from doing it. It discourages them from doing it. It makes them think that it's going to be impossible if they try to do the plan that they often instinctively know is the way that they should quit smoking. So when it comes down to it, for people, and I can't answer emails anymore just because of the volume that I get. But when people are interested in what I think of programs in other areas, I think very little of them. Because again, they are going to be pushing an approach which is probably going to put you to a pharmaceutical aid. If you're finding a program which is a cold turkey program, if it's free, hey, go for it. If you're paying anything for it, well, think about it, you know. I suspect if you go through the YouTube videos here, if you go through the Why Quit site resources, I suspect you will get very much the same information. And if you really follow through and go through that stuff thoroughly, you'll get a much more thorough education on this problem that we're dealing with, nicotine addiction. To be able to pull off a quit and successfully stay off over the long term, the more understanding you have, the better chance you have of pulling it off. I got to point out, you could also pull it off with absolutely no understanding. The odds aren't as high, but it can be done. I don't want to make it sound like, oh no, you have to do this. But if you want to secure your quit over the long term, go through the resources. They will help you. If you don't want to go through the resources, if you don't want to put in the time, we have one video up there which is on a how to quit smoking video. I think it's like a 10-minute video. You could go through that, and if you follow through the advice that it gives you, you will pull off that quit. And you will keep that quit going. Because that video kind of ends the way all the videos end. And that is, if you get yourself off, you follow the approach, getting off cold turkey, you just don't take any nicotine for those first few days, you detoxify yourself, and then you decide, day by day that you really like how this is going and that you really want to keep it going. You want to keep your freedom. If you want to pull it off, hey, you follow the last pieces of advice on that video, which is the exact same piece of advice on all of our videos. And that is, if you want to quit smoking and stay off, it's a matter of making and sticking to a personal commitment to never take another puff.